Would you do me a favor? Would you say welcome to House Rhules? That's the name of the podcast. Welcome to House Rhules in German.
Willkommen bei House von Rhule. That's it, pretty much it.
Awesome. You could have said a lot of things there and could have got me in a lot of trouble. Till next time, welcome to House Rhules.
House Rhules, baby. I want to start with our toast like we always do, thanks to our friends at Outlaw Beer. And this goes out to you, all right? What I saw in your news conference, what I saw you Saturday night, and the message that you conveyed as a parent, as a football fan, it was beautiful. What you did for those kids, looking out for Dylan, having TJ's back, you always speak from the heart, but I think we all felt it.
Wow. Thank you. Cheers to you and my friend. No, I think leaders, it's easy to be a leader when you're in a great moment, right? When you beat Northwestern and you're excited and you're happy. When there's this pail of disappointment over everyone left their heart and soul on the field, and then you had, a bad break here, and you lost your starting quarterback, and you put a freshman in there, and he goes out there and he battles and fights. It's like you want to make sure your team knows that you're for them. What better thing can we say to our people that we love that, hey, I'm for you, and that that's kind of the place we're in right now, man. It's like our season's changed a little bit. We had a tough loss, ranked opponent. I mean, it was one of the most amazing atmospheres I've ever been a part of in my life. It was unlike anything I've ever seen, and I felt like we were in great position, and it just kind of it got away from us, and so you can be disappointed, you can be mad, but you better stay committed to us and better committed to the brotherhood that we have. And so I think that starts with us as the adults, as the leaders, as the coaches. And then when you see your players do it, then you say to yourself, you know what, we're doing the right things.
You're talking about an SC team that just goes up and down the field on everybody, right? Like they don't get held down. Say whatever you want about that program. That offense is legit. And you got from the moment of kickoff throughout that game, those kids battled. They played so hard. They played smart. There was an incredible passion. As a Husker fan and a football fan, I feel great. Listen, it's about zero sum. We get it. I feel great about that effort. I just saw an effort that was championship effort.
Yeah, I think two things can be true. A, you can say the standard is a standard, and we need to score more points than the other team, and we never want to walk away from that. At the same time, we also talk here a lot about what does the tape say, and in terms of our effort and physicality and all the things that we're trying to teach, it was by far the best that we've done. So yeah, two things can be true. It wasn't good enough. We have to continue to work and get better. Yet at the same time, there is no doubt that the things we're asking the guys to do are getting better and better and better. And SC is a great offense. We held them to 21 points. That's the lowest they've been held to. Held them to 337 yards. That's the lowest in some time. We held them passing-wise. It's the lowest they've had in 83 games. But we needed to make one more play. And so we can come out here and say to ourselves, all right, these things we're doing, we're getting better, they're working. At the same time, I've got to double down on it. I've got to do more. And that's hard. That's hard for guys when they're at the end of the beat up, they're at the end of the year, they're disappointed and all those different things. But that's what sports does for you. It teaches you how to handle success and adversity and always say what's next. And if you can do that, then you become the man or woman, but in this case in football, the man that you're supposed to be. And so it transcends just the sport, though that doesn't mean we're saying it's okay to lose. I can tell you we are upset about it. We are bound and determined to rectify it.
Before we move on, there's a bunch of things I got to go over with you. First, we got to talk about the quarterbacks, right? Because the next morning, I almost want to be a fly on the wall when you find out that Dylan actually has a fracture, right? Like we all thought it was a sprain. He's next to you, pleading to come back in the game. And the care and love that I saw from you was, listen, I care too much about you to put you in any kind of peril. And then it turns out he's got a fractured ankle.
Yeah, he's such a competitor. Dylan wanted to play. He wanted to go. He not that he trusted and believes in TJ, but he wants to be out there for his guys. And to your point, we thought it was just a sprain. It wasn't even a high ankle sprain. I thought it would be like a low ankle sprain maybe. So at the time, and so he wanted to go. And but at the end of the day, you can't go out there if you can't defend yourself, if you can't run, if you can't do those things. And I didn't want that to be anything worse. So and I just told him, I said, hey, I love you too much to put you back in there. I know you're disappointed, but this is what's best for you. It was really cool to see his teammates rally around him. Every single guy, walk up to him, hug him. I mean, I think, it sometimes it shows up in adversity how much people want to come to your side and want to be there for you and want to be resilient for you. And he found out the terrible news after the game. I mean, I literally got home, got a text, and my daughter walked in because my daughter saw him after he just got the news and told me, and I was shocked, absolutely shocked. But he's one of the best, and I think that this will give him a chance to watch because he hasn't had a chance to watch. He's been the starter since he got here. He'll be the starter for a long time in the NFL. And sometimes you learn a lot by watching, without the pressure of I need to make this throw. And even this week at practice, seeing him out there with TJ, it'll make him better. It'll give him a chance to learn a lot. And it's TJ's time now, and we're excited for him and give him a great opportunity.
I don't think what people understand, too, that, like, we all have the advantage of watching on television or in the stadium, but this thing's happening in real time. Right? Like, this is real stuff that happens in real time that decisions have to be made right then and there. Like, you got to live through, you got to work through it. And I think that's the thing that really stood out to me is that in a time of crisis, in a time of adversity, that you guys, from a staff through to your players, reacted that way. It's easy to talk about in theory, right? It's easy to go textbook on you. But to actually have it happen in real time and to answer the bell the way everyone did, I just thought that was impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was two good football teams out there. We battled. We came back after they caught up. We came back and took the lead, and credit to them. They made the plays they had to make, and they went down and they scored. And then we got the ball back and had a chance to go down in 2 minutes, and they made one more play than we made. And that's what's great about the Big Ten. That's what's great about Saturday Night Football on NBC is you're going to see two teams who really want to win in an unbelievable environment, a cold weather game. Teams battling. It was physical. It was hard nosed. It was what football's supposed to be. And I was proud of our effort. I'm sure they were proud of their effort. It was two teams that wanted to win.
So the backstory of the Blackout was incredible. I mean, it looked so cool. Like the energy, like it just popped. Like it was one of the greatest things. I love it, right? Like I think every football fan loves that. First time, I guess it was 5 times in the history of the program. First time since 2020. What was it like? Like, give us the vibe of it, like of that whole Blackout and what it was like.
I think the cool thing was the buy-in from the fans, right? Like just you saw everyone in black. And so it brought it to life. It was a night game. We have our light show. We have all the cool things that we do. Everything was alive. We painted the field black. And it's disappointing when you do all that and you lose. But as you talk about sowing seeds, for the future, it's like, I mean, the recruits that were there just blown away by the atmosphere. People asking me already, fans, hey, are we going to do this again next year? Like, can we do this every year? It's not our brand, but it can be part of our brand. It can be a special thing that we do. And we got a call last night from a big time recruit saying, hey, coach, I'm coming. And it's just even despite losing the game, it's like, you know what? They see the progress. They see what we're going to be on the football field. And they also see really that was one of the greatest environments in college sports. And, we do it all the time in different ways. It was cool to do it in a Blackout type of a way.
When football, when it's at its apex, it inspires the senses. Like your senses come alive. And that's what it felt like Saturday night.
I have a great friend who always says before every game, he's like, hey, all 5 senses, be locked in, just be in the moment. And, that's what it was. It was, like I said, it was an amazing atmosphere with two great football teams and, all the dramatic arcs, that happen in the game. You lose Dylan, TJ comes in, this happens, they lose the left tackle. It was amazing theater, amazing entertainment. Then, afterwards you have to pick up the pieces on our end, right? You're devastated that you lost, disappointed in the outcome, and you have to come back the next day and just go right back to work. And that's so hard to do, but it's what makes young people who play this game, if they do it, it's what makes them special. It's why they run companies someday and do amazing things, because life isn't about how you feel. It's about the standards you have for yourself. And so far this week, our team has done that.
Take us through the moment TJ's going to go in, and what's the conversation with TJ?
Yeah, I mean, they just was like, hey, you're up. I mean, he's just a gamer, man. Like he never gets too high, never gets too low. He's an unbelievable kid, comes from a great family. He's played a lot of big time football in high school, and so played a couple games early. And it was like, hey, buddy, you're up, and some of the things that he brings to the table in terms of, a little bit more dual threat, tried to emphasize a couple of those. They didn't give him a ton of chances to run it, in terms of the defense, the way they played him. But just trying to get him out there, get him settled early, and then give him opportunities to go win the game. And it's a really hard moment to go into, and I thought the moment wasn't too big for him, which is great for him. He can be disappointed about the result, but he has to be encouraged about where he is and where his ceiling and where his future is going to be. So, now he has a week. He has a week to go out there and get all the reps and watch all the tape and figure out what he's comfortable with, and the coaches can tailor it around him. And I have unbelievable confidence in him and who he is.
How do you heal a team when something traumatic happens like that? And it's not just about the player or even the player's replacement, but the team itself, right, feels it and suffers it. How do you go about the healing process with that?
I think, there's obviously the disappointment of losing the game, and you have to deal with that. Then losing a guy that you care about, no matter who it is, at whatever position, but certainly when it's your quarterback, that has an impact on the guys on the team. I think the biggest thing we try to do is just come together, and literally be together. Come in, have meetings on Sunday, be around each other, be honest, be vulnerable. Tell the truth about what happened in the game, what we did. I started the meeting off with things I wish I could have done better. As you move forward, what an opportunity for a team to show what a great team they can be. What an opportunity for our coaching staff to show what great coaches they can be. What an opportunity for our team leaders to show what great leaders they can be. And so I feel like when you lose your starting quarterback and you put in the backup, especially when he's a true freshman making his first start going back home to LA, what you don't want is him to feel like he has to do this. We just need him to do this. But what everyone else has to do is they have to grab that rope along with him and just remove some of the friction, remove some of the stress on him. So this week has been about, what kind of teammates can we be? And that's not just the players. That's the coaches, staff, everyone. Let's all be great teammates. Let's all pick up the slack for each other. I just truly believe that when you're on a mission for others, you're always going to have a chance to be successful. And so I'm excited to see our team come together. Through adversity comes great opportunities. And, this is an opportunity for TJ, but it's also an opportunity for every single other member of our team.
What stood out during your news conference, not to be redundant, but I kind of want to dive a little into it, which is the love that you have for these kids. When I'm watching you, that is as real as it gets. This notion of you hear it all the time, I love my players. But I felt it watching you. Everybody who watched that news conference, who watched you during that game, felt the love that you have for your players. And the idea, this idea of, you said it before when people are asking about other jobs and whatever. I fell in love with coaching. I love this team. You've said it quite a few times about loving this team. What is that? Can you quantify that?
I think lots of coaches say they love their players, and they love their players when they perform for them. I think the best coaches have something much greater, a much greater purpose, and that's to impact and influence people's lives. And you think back to when we were coming up in coaching, and there wasn't a lot of money in coaching, right? So you did it because you loved the game, B, you loved working with young people, and along the way somewhere coaches, it's become a little bit more professionalized, and at the same time also we've kind of vilified coaches, that coach doesn't like my kid, and it's just. Because there's a lot of pressure in these jobs, right? There's a lot of pressure to call plays, a lot of pressure to be a DC. And when you wake up every day in the midst of that pressure, and you say to yourself, I am here for these guys, it changes everything. Because you think about it like, I feel pressure this week. Dana feels pressure this week. But what does TJ feel? What does someone on defense feel? Well, can I go be there for them? And when you start living your life to support other people, you live a much, much, much more fulfilling life. I tell our players sometimes, like, if you're selfish right now and it's always about you, then someday you'll just have you. You'll be alone. When your life is about others, your family, your wife, your kids, your girlfriend, your friends, when you're always giving back to others, guess what? Someday you'll have others giving back to you. I had to learn that when I was younger the hard way. I had some times in coaching where I was like this, and I was like this. Like, I was lucky my dad, my uncle, they were great coaches, and they was always about the players. When it's always about the players, you're excited when they have triumphs. You're crushed for them when they're crushed. And at the end of the day, though, you're always pushing them to be their best. And so that's why I got into coaching. And it's something for me that as I've come back into college and I've been here at Nebraska, and we talked about it last week, just the joy that working with these guys has brought to me. And I want to make sure that I'm there for them in their good and their bad moments.
We talk a lot about the ever-changing face of college football on the show. And obviously it's completely different. But they want to go to a place where I think they feel nurtured, that they feel ultimately, right? Like, there's a salary cap in every university. But I think the nurturing aspect of it still matters. The connection, the fact that the kid, and not every place is going to have the same vibe, but the kid has to feel it and I think needs it to succeed.
Yeah, I'm sure it's different for every kid. But I think you see a lot of young men who will go to one place for one reason, and then they leave. At the end of the day, we all have the higher, what do they call it, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Like we need to feel safe, we need to feel secure. So we need these things. And so when you go someplace that is nurturing and developing, and you feel yourself getting better, I think it makes you feel powerful. When you go to a place that only cares about your performance and that's it, that can be hollow. And so my goal has always been, I think kids go through recruiting, they're always thinking about best case scenario. Well, I'm going to go here, I'm going to do this, I'm going to start as a freshman, I'm leaving 3 years. And then you go off to college and everyone's kind of on that timeline. Well, sometimes you get hurt. Sometimes you're a late bloomer. Sometimes you just got a good player in front of you. Sometimes you're homesick, whatever. Which school, which coaching staff, which people are going to be there for you in your time of need? Everyone's there when you're successful. Who's going to be there when you're not successful? Who's going to be there in those dark rooms hugging you or pushing you or helping you? And so I think about, for me, my kids in my life, I hope Julie and I have a tremendous impact on them, but they'll be so impacted by the people who are around them. And I want the people who are around my kids to see them for what they can be, not what they're not. And I want them to also pick them up when they're down. Now, not lift them up. I want them to help them get up. I want my kids to learn how to get up, but I want someone to guide them. And so if that's the things that we want for our kids, we should probably do the same for other people's kids. And I just hope as people pick schools and recruiting, the helmet, the jersey, the NIL check, those things are important, but they only go so far because you know what? They can cut your check. And you know what? The head coach can leave, or there can be changes. You better be somewhere where the people really, really actually care about you, because if you haven't seen adversity yet, I tell our guys all the time, if you haven't been to a dark place yet, you will. And if you've been to one, you'll probably be in another one. And I know when I'm going to be in my next dark place, I know that I can always pick up the phone and call this person. I know I can call you, because the people that care about you are going to pull you through it. And so I then owe it to others and my players and our staff and all that in a dark time to try to pull them through. Dylan, as he goes through the rehab process, he'll be in some dark times at times. Pull him through and be there for him. And that's a special, special, special vocation. It seems like every day I get a text from someone asking where they can get the best deal on Huskers tickets. That's why I'm giving the sponsor of today's episode, SeatGeek, a huge shout out. With over 35 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports, festivals, and more. There's the NFL, NBA, and of course, college football. Besides basketball, just remember you can get your Iowa at Nebraska tickets on SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the official ticket marketplace of Nebraska athletics. All Nebraska tickets on SeatGeek are authentic and secure. I love using SeatGeek. In fact, coming up here soon. We have Riley Green coming to town, Eric Church coming to town, Trans-Siberian Orchestra getting ready for the Christmas time. But one thing I didn't even think about, Wicked is coming to Omaha. Broadway shows right here on SeatGeek. I know my kids are going to be excited. SeatGeek has your back. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10, so you know you're getting a good deal. So look for the green dots. Green means good, red means bad. Plus, every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. And of course, I have a code for you guys. You can use code RULE10 for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with promo code RULE10. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Thank you, SeatGeek. Welcome to another edition of Office Hours with David Huffman.
What's up, guys?
All right, so tell us about your journey, man. Tell us how you ended up here at the University of Nebraska.
Well, 2023, back in Germany, I made a decision. I want to play big Power 4 college football. And I started preparing myself for recruiting camps in Texas in the following summer, 2024. So I went there with a bunch of European guys, great guys. Shout out to Gridiron Imports who are organizing all that and helping us out with all that. And in a camp in Houston, I met the coaching staff of the Huskers. And after the second camp down there in Texas, I got offered, and I committed right on the spot.
How has your adaptation, A, to living in America, and then B, learning football at this level, how is it going for you so far?
Pretty well, though it took me a little bit adjusting to the culture. It is a little bit different than it is back home, but the Nebraskans are very, very friendly, the guys here on campus, and I think we have a team with guys that are so welcoming, and they showed me around right away, football-wise. I just put my head down in the work, and with Coach TB, he's a great coach, teaching me everything I need to know, and adjusting very well.
And you're starting to get on the field, you're starting to play. What do you see like the next steps that you need to conquer for yourself as a player?
I think I got the size and I got the strength. I think I need to get more the mindset of the defensive line player. I need to be more the freak that we need on the line, shedding off blocks, getting in there, making the tackle. That's pretty much what I'm working on.
If you could have one thing to eat from back home right now, what would it be?
It would probably be a curly wurst.
What is that?
That is a bratwurst sliced up with some curry sauce and some fries. It's pretty good.
If anybody out there knows where to get one or make one, let my guy know. All right, what's the one thing that you've eaten here in Nebraska that you never had there that if you could have all your friends back home to try, you'd have it?
Cornbread is pretty good.
Cornbread, I love it. Special shout out to my guys at Acres for setting this up for us. And shout out to Revolution Wraps for making this thing look so fire. In football, we always say one team, one goal. And that's what I see when I look at Central Valley Ag. CVA is a farmer-owned cooperative built on teamwork. Farmers in the co-op all working together to make agriculture stronger. And now they're taking that teamwork to the next level with the CVA podcast, At the Table with Central Valley Ag. It's your chance to hear directly from the people inside the co-op, the ones making decisions, sharing knowledge, and helping producers stay one step ahead. That's what great teams do. They communicate, they grow, and they win together. Tune into the CVA podcast, At the Table with Central Valley Ag, launching today, November 6th, and learn more about your co-op at cvacoop.com. Because when we work together, we all move forward. Central Valley Ag is the official co-op of Husker Nation. All right, welcome back to House Rhules. It's an absolute pleasure for me now to have really one of the best on the show, a national radio host, former Temple Owl, and a guy that when he comes out to Nebraska to do his job isn't afraid to bring me a bagel or two to take care of a Yankee like me in the Midwest. So please welcome national radio sensation, Zack Gelb.
Coach Rhule, how the tables have turned. I used to interview you when you were at Temple, and now you're interviewing me. So now I probably know how much of a pain in the ass I was like 10 or 15 years ago.
Hey, I got all these questions I've been waiting like 10 years to ask you, man. I'm bringing the heat.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. It should be a blast.
So it's really, I have to say this, man, like, in my job, especially at a place like Temple, which was so known for communications and sports journalism, I've seen so many people come on and then move on into the world. But you've done such a great job, and I'm proud of you for that. But you started this journey. I mean, you were born into this. You started this young. Your dad, obviously, WFAN. Talk to me about like, growing up and what made you, or when did you know that you wanted to do this for your life?
Yeah, so I was 8 years old, and I went into work, basically skipped school for a day, and I went into the Kaufman Astoria studios, with my dad. And I grew up as a Patriot fan. My dad worked on Sundays producing Mike Francesa with Mike Francesa and Christopher Mad Dog Russo was their first producer. So on football Sundays, I would go to my uncle's house, it was my next door neighbor, and he's from Framingham, Massachusetts. So I would be wearing a Patriot jersey and became a Patriot fan. So I showed up to the WFAN studios in New York City in a Patriots jersey. And Joe Beningo, who was like the iconic Jet fan, like, I hate the Patriots, don't care who you are. They put me on the air as they thought it would be him and Sid Rosenberg, like a little bit of a creative bit. And I was talking crap to Joe as an 8-year-old Patriot fan. So I left that day, and in the car ride home, I said to my dad, that's what I want to do for a living, is talk sports. And when I was in high school and college, I started doing shows on the web and eventually turned it into a full career.
What was football your favorite sport growing up, or was it basketball? Like, where did you start with your true love?
Yeah, when I was a kid, baseball was my first love, right? You played Little League. I thought I was going to be on the New York Mets. I thought I was going to be the next Mike Piazza. Then I realized that I couldn't hit a curveball. Then the whole idea went away. But through time, football has become my main love. NFL, and then doing the college show ever really since 2019 and doing the national show ever since 2019, and then also what you guys did at Temple, that's when I became a big college football fan. Like someone growing up in the Northeast, the only real memory of college football, other than whatever games my dad was watching, was when Rutgers beat Louisville and there was pandemonium in Piscataway, and that was my first memory of college football from a local perspective. But as a kid growing up, it was more so like Texas, USC, Notre Dame, and just all those national brands like in Nebraska too.
So obviously you were there during that run that we had at Temple, and you were there for every step of it. What do you remember about covering me? What do you remember about covering the team in those kind of formative college years?
Well, I remember when I broke the story that you were going to be the coach. I had a really good source, and I got your number, and I texted you, and I go, before I break this, can I get comment? And then didn't hear from you because you're probably like, who the heck is this person? And you were already at Temple before. And then I remember when you gave the speech, and I interviewed you the first day when you were on the job, but I don't think we put the connection together that I was the one that was texting you. But I remember when you gave the speech at the basketball center, the Liacouras Center, and you guaranteed that there was going to be a trophy placed in the building down at Edward Olson Hall. And everyone looked at each other and they said, a trophy? Like, let's just be bowl eligible. A trophy? And you were talking about a conference championship trophy, and the transformation from year one to year two was crazy. Year one, you guys were making up like recruiting pitches to coaches to try to get me to walk on the team. And then in year two, it started with the water jugs and how everyone was carrying around. But then from year one to year two, you saw a team that was just ready to burst through and pop through. And you guys got screwed out of the bowl game. You guys should have got put into the bowl game in that second year. But even in year one, you guys were competitive. Like, these are going to be some painful memories for you. Niebrick to Ajala with Fordham. I didn't love running out of the pistol necessarily up against Rutgers. The J.J. Warden one. I wasn't a big fan of that. J.J. Warden with the one-handed catch. But you guys were playing these really good teams, and you guys weren't that good of a team, but you were in every game, and that's when I knew something was getting built in the right direction.
Do you remember coming to morning workouts, to mat drills? Do you remember being a pseudo member of the staff for a day?
Yeah, I remember we were doing an interview, and you invited me to practice. And I go, all right, that's probably just coach being nice. And then you texted me, you go, 5 a.m., And I was living in a fraternity house at the time.
I
and we were
remember.
probably partying the night before. So I limp over to the facility and I'm watching practice. I'll never forget, you go, we have this kid by the name of Hassan Reddick. He's going to be a star. Just watch him. And I watched him the entirety of the practice. And my friends used to make fun of me because I go, the best hidden secret in Temple football is this kid Hassan Reddick. And I would say it so much, they'd be like, all right, enough talking about Hassan Reddick, but we all know the story that he ended up going on. And then also Coach Rhule, you know, he goes, I saw Gelb coming out of a fraternity house at like 5 in the morning. And all the other reporters go, well, how did you see Coach Rhule at 5 a.m.? And I didn't want to tell him that I was going to practice because then all those other reporters would probably get jealous that I got the exclusive practice insight.
I used to come up 10th Street, Diamond Street, and make it to turn on Broad Street. I think there's a couple of times I might have seen you guys out. There was a pizza place and a frat house. I might have seen you sitting outside at, late hours enjoying college life in North Philly.
So I used to have my age in my Twitter bio. And you were at Maxi getting pizza. And I probably should not have been in Maxi's. And you tweeted out, saw my man Zack Gelb at Maxi's. As I just saw the bouncer who let me in because he just thought I was 21. And in my bio, it's like 17 or 18-year-old aspiring talk show host. And I quickly just deleted that and then proceeded to have a good night.
I love it. Those are great times. And you could tell then, like, your drive, your perseverance, your professionalism would result in you having the opportunities you have right now. But you think about like what you've seen going back to your father, producing Mike and the Mad Dog, all the way through college to now, like sports media, sports journalism has changed so much. What are the different ways that, that it's affected you in your career? Like, how are you doing it differently now than you did it in college, when you first started in college, or watching your dad work?
Yeah, so the biggest difference now is everything just gets spun into a social media clip, where I do enjoy the art of doing a 3 or 4 hour show and having people that regularly call me and you have those interactions. And I even saw it during COVID, how many messages I would get on Twitter or on Instagram, like, hey, you're my one distraction for the day. But I know the social media climate that we're in on TikTok and Twitter and Instagram. So it's how can you produce content? Because to me, it's still the radio first, but produce content that is compelling on the radio that then can get spun into social media content. And I think it's just a simple thing because now the relationship is different. The athletes, coaches, they don't need the media as much as they once did. Like, you have a podcast now, a lot of players have podcasts now. So there's a way to get your message out, but I still think there is an importance of having relationships and then building trust with people. And that's why, when I'll interview someone, I'll always thank them afterwards. Like, on their birthday, I'll reach out, happy birthday. Or, if a big win happens, congratulations on the win. Because I never want the relationship just to be, hey, I'm only going to have Coach Matt Rhule on when there's a big story about Nebraska. Because then if that's the case, you don't really trust the person that is doing the interview. And then it also allows me that if there is a controversy, that person then trusts me to come on, and then you have kind of the conversation, an honest conversation. Because ultimately, as much as I love interacting with players and coaches, my responsibility is to serve the listener. And that's something Angelo Cataldi, a sports talk radio legend, told me in Philadelphia. You never want to get too close to the coaches and the players. I didn't listen to him on that, because then you're going to do a disservice to your fans.
It's funny you say that, because even you came to the Northwestern game, and I know in talking to you, I pretty much told you, hey, I'm gonna stick around here. I'm gonna stay, and I respect the fact that you didn't just tweet that out. And again, you have a job to do, and there's gonna be a time you have to criticize me or, hey, Matt Rhule's. So that's always been fine. But I think being someone who handles confidential information, or someone who is going to give you the benefit of the doubt, or at least ask you, those relationships, they matter. And what people don't know on this side is, let's say it's a big week, there's a big game, or something happens, and your SID comes in, and he's like, hey, you have these 10 interviews, and you can only do 3. You remember the people, not who take it easy on you, but who you trust, right? Who you respect the work. I mean, there's times where running the ball in the pistol on 4th and 1. Yeah, I was mad about that too. So there's times you got to say, what are we doing here? Blah, 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 blah. But so much of it now can be just piling on. And it's who has a relationship? Because I think it works both ways. And, you mentioned podcasts. It's such a novelty for a coach to have a podcast. But guess what was a novelty a couple years ago? A podcast, right? So now people are all starting to have them. what is your thought about me doing this, about players doing it? Do you like that? Do you want us to stay out of your medium, or do you like kind of the flow of information that's out there these days?
I embrace it because I think more content is the better. It gives us more things to react to. And I think it's a good platform for your players too. And even to continue to make relationships inside the local community. Now, you know how this goes, right? You win, people love it. If you lose, then people go, oh, the coach cares more about the podcast than the actual football team, which is a bunch of bull crap. We all know that. But there are so many ways that you need to adapt in this NIL era now, and you need to make yourself as marketable as ever and basically on every screen. And there's so many different screens now. So I don't know if you're the first coach to do this, but I'll tell you this. You won't be the last coach that will do this because, hey, coaches for years, how is this any different, let me ask you, than you doing a radio show for an hour?
That's right.
You know, a lot of these coaches have radio shows. It's no different. It's just a different way that an older audience will consume it. And some people are caught up in their old ways and some people don't adapt. But in this college world, what I've learned is you got to adapt because what was the way that the world worked 5 years ago isn't how it works now.
That's exactly right. It's funny you say that about the radio show. When I went to Baylor, they were like, yeah, you have a 1 hour a week radio show. You got to go over to this barbecue place. You got to be. I was like, every week? You're working all this, and then you finally get done. You'd like to at least see your family. So, we divvy it up and all those things. But at least this isn't like, this isn't like 2 hours of my life. This is, hey, 20 minutes here, 40 minutes there, and I'm grateful for the people that do it. Now, you do a daily show. Like, how do you keep it? How do you keep it fresh? How do you keep it interesting? Like, the workload you must do in terms of watching everything and reading everything must be outrageous because this is hard for me and I'm doing it once a week. How do you keep it fresh?
Yes. So the nice part about national, it's bigger topics. Like, sure, in college football, if there's a huge game and let's say you're in the college football playoff semifinal, everyone's watching that, so you could do more of a breakdown. But it's hot seat talk. It's Heisman Trophy talk. It's also like, even though I've been doing this for a young time, and there was an article that was written, he's like, oh, he's the network veteran. And I go, I'm only 31 years old, but I do have an energy and a passion and a drive where I try to keep my eye on so many different things. And it's having an insane amount of preparation, and then just you got to rely on your memory as well. Like, I'll jot some things down when I'm watching games, but there's like, I'll get asked, how do you remember all this crap? And I go, it's just because I love what I do, and there's nothing better to me than the NFL season and the college football season.
I love that. We did Andy and Ari a couple weeks ago from On3. They have their podcast, and they were great. And Ari talked a little bit about being surprised. He had a take, and he put it out, and it wasn't really a hot take in his mind. It ended up becoming this controversial hot take. Does that ever happen to you, or things ever unintentionally start going viral without you meaning it to?
Yeah, I usually have a good idea on how social media is going to work, but there are some things that you just can't see coming. And then here's the thing, nothing ever dies on the internet now. So I could say something a year ago, and then a year later, a player could get traded. I know today's the trade deadline, or someone could say something and it gets repurposed a year later. So that stuff happens all the time. But I think we've had some good viral moments. I've had Deebo Samuel hang up the phone on me because he wasn't happy with my line of questioning. Aaron Donald's PR person stepped in because they didn't like something that I asked. I was interviewing Micah, and sometimes it's unintentional. I'm interviewing Micah Parsons at the Super Bowl a few years ago, and I'm just asking him, who's your top 5 pass rushers in the league? And he wouldn't say TJ Watt. And the next thing you know, that clip has like 4.5 million views. I went to dinner, a Mexican restaurant at the Super Bowl. We walked in, the video was at 500,000 views, had like 3 tacos and two margaritas, and we walk out and it's at 2.5 million views. So it's crazy how things just spread, and how many Kobe White at the NBA draft, I told him one of his teammates got drafted, and he said, wow, that's crazy, bro. That still gets mashed into TikToks and things like that today.
That's awesome. What about like maybe less viral? What are your favorite stories, favorite moments that you've had? Just you personally. What are the ones that stick out to you?
Yeah, so I think it's crazy when you, for example, our connection, where I knew you when you were unknown at Temple. and just how those relationships grow. I sent a Facebook message. It shows you how long I've been doing this. I did a digital show on this website called Showvio, where you could just go on and do your own show, and they were the platform. And in high school, I sent a Facebook message to Rob Gronkowski, and Gronk responded, came on the show, and then I've seen Gronk since then. So it's things like that where you could interview people at a young age, whether I was young or they were young, and you never know what it's going to blossom to. For example, I interviewed Kalen DeBoer when he was at Fresno State because I was blown away by his story at Sioux Falls, where when he was a player, he led the school in receiving and then also had something along the lines of a 500 batting average or something like that on the baseball team. And I interviewed him there. Then I interviewed him at Washington. And now I interview him at Alabama. And when I was interviewing him there, I never thought he would be the head football coach at Alabama. My dad and I, we used to actually joke when you were at Temple and then things really started to get going when we beat Penn State, had college game day with Notre Dame. Eventually the next year won the AAC. My dad would always joke, yeah, I think Matt's going to one day be the head coach of the Green Bay Packers, right? So it's things like that where you meet people at such a young age or you interview them when they're unknown, and then to see the success that they have, that's the fun part of it.
I love it. So how about on the national landscape right now? What's a story or a couple stories that you think are unfairly going unnoticed? What should we be talking about more as we're looking at sports in today's landscape?
Yeah, so that's a good question, and it's really highlighting the unknown stories. The media world, it's usually okay. I joke all the time on Monday, which coach are we firing and which quarterback are we slamming? Because that's usually what it is. But when there is a good story, you got to tell it. You can't just be and I know a lot of times people be like, oh, you're a New Yorker, you're loud, all you do is just yell. You can't only just highlight the negative. So I try to identify those untold stories that end up getting told basically when it's the draft, and then I'm someone that's able to say, okay, that's a story. I remember, for example, when you were at Temple, I was on the call for this. It was when you had Leah Still, Devin Still's daughter, run the touchdown. And I remember I did the call, Leah Still is still running, and then the next thing you know, Adam Schefter is putting it out there on social media. So finding those kind of stories where, and that's the human part of it and the relationship part of it, there are times that you just don't know when someone's going to open up to you. And if you have that trust, or if you just have a heart and be a normal human being and just treat people like human, you get those little extra stories out of people that, to me, make a lot more compelling content than, okay, is this person going to get fired or is this person going to have their quarterback job next week?
Speaking of untold stories or unseen stories, you live in New York, you're from New York, I'm from New York. A lot of my friends, they'll say they until they get here, they can't understand living in Nebraska and why we like it so much. You've been here for a couple games. You've seen Lincoln. You've seen everything. Can you explain it? Can you explain why Julie and I like living here so much as native Northeasterners? Me as a true take the subway to school New York City public school kid. Can you see it now after having been here?
Oh, absolutely. The people are so nice. I've been there now twice. I'm sure there are mean people, as there are in every state. I have not met a mean person, and just the love that the entire state has for the football team. I was there in your first year when you guys played Michigan, and to have all those fans show up, even when it's not expected to go your way, that's something that really spoke to me. That the environment, and I've been to some big games and some big environments, that the environment was still that cool. And then being there for Northwestern, I told you this afterwards. That was the most nerve-wracking experience of my life. I've been to 28-3 to see my football team come on back in the Super Bowl. I've been to Final Fours, which is at the one this past year where Duke blew that game. Watching the game in the second half with your wife, I don't think people understand how dedicated and invested Julie Rhule is on the Nebraska football team, because I used to joke with Pat Kraft that they should put a camera on him on the sidelines because he's a madman. I think it'd actually be more entertaining if we put a camera in the luxury box and get Julie's reaction.
The only thing is, Julie has no social media. She would never agree to do it, but
she will hate me. I will get a text later. She will hate me for even suggesting this.
Now, my daughters, on the other hand, the two girls, they might sit there and be TikToking it out. But no, I'm glad you say that because, when you see, when you're a coach, you see like the good times, the bad times, the investment, kind of like you come into a 5 a.m. practice and seeing behind the scenes. And then that makes you root that much more. It's no longer just entertainment one day a week. It actually becomes something that you're invested in. Like Julie and I are invested in these players in the program. Okay. I have to ask you this, and I'll let you go after this. New York City pizza, Philly pizza.
Oh, it's not even close. I love Philadelphia. The cheesesteaks are unbelievable. The food scene in Philadelphia is great. I went out for dinner with my girlfriend for a wedding a month ago, and I couldn't believe how cheap it was in Philly compared to what I'll pay in New York. But the New York, you give me a slice from La Industry here in the city, I don't see it. The only better slice you get is New Haven. New Haven, Connecticut is the best pizza I've had. Outside of that, then it would be New York pizza.
Pepe, Sally's, modern. It's amazing. How about the prices when you came to Lincoln? How New York City, going to dinner, coming to Lincoln. You went to a great steakhouse here, Casa Bovino, like literally in Wine Spectator, regarded across the country. But how does the cost of living compare?
I could live in Lincoln, Nebraska. Just give me Casa Bovina. If I get to go there once a week, I'd be a fat pig, don't get me wrong, but the food, and we did not skimp out. There was 5 of us, and I was doing the ordering. It was food, dessert, drink. And then the bill came, and I go, in New York, this would have cost me about $800 a person. Not so much in Lincoln, Nebraska.
That's why they call it the good life. Well, as someone who's watched you grow and someone who considers you a friend, but also seriously respects the job that you do, it's an honor to have you on here as I try to start this thing of ours we got going on here. But I appreciate you understanding it too. It's a brave new world, and we got to be brave, even though some people might say this, say that. It's the same for you. You got to have your take, and we got to weather the storm, enjoy the good times, and deal with the bad times. But you've always been there, and very grateful for you. I can't wait to see what you do next.
Well, it is a brave new world, but it was also a brave new world when you got to Temple and you said you were going to win a conference championship. So I love the job that you're doing at Nebraska, and I can't wait to continue to see how far this thing grows. Appreciate you having me.
As poor everyone knows, we did put a trophy in the case. I said before I die, we'll put a trophy in this case. And right before that season, I remember a couple guys said, "Are you dead yet?" I said, "I'm not dead yet." And we put it in there. So can't wait till we do it here. Thanks, my friend.
Timeout, anything but football. This is where we get to ask Coach, who's a Renaissance man. We cover the spectrum. Today, movies. You do a movie every week with the guys. So here you go. Conrad Robert wants to know, hit us up on Instagram at House Rhules. Coach, what are your 3 top sports movies of all time?
Well, this is an asterisk. This doesn't count. But I've always counted The Dirty Dozen, because it has Jim Brown in it, as a football movie. And so it's one of my favorites, but we'll take that out, okay?
Hey, wait, and he's throwing the ball against the wall. He's got
right.
the baseball glove.
That's exactly right. Like it's one of my favorite movies. Number one is Hoosiers. I mean, Hoosiers is, my team is on the court, and my team is on the floor. Like Normandale, I love it. I would say, Little Giants. One of the greatest sports movies of all time. Like, we got a yard. I love that.
Icebox.
It's just such a great movie.
I must have watched that movie 15 times with my kids.
That's right.
Like, every once in a while, they'll still want to put it on. It's the
right.
greatest.
Trust me. I'm like, hey, guys, look what's on. You guys want to watch it with me? They're like, no. I'm like, come on. There's so many great ones. Field of Dreams, Rocky, obviously. Like, I probably would say Rocky, but I want to go a little lesser known. One of the best movies ever is, in my opinion, sports movies ever, is Victory. Sylvester Stallone, the soccer movie.
The soccer movie.
The POWs, and they walk off at the end. Like, I rewatched that last year on the plane to one of our games and was like, man, this is great. So I would go one basketball, one football, and then there's not a lot of great football movies. I mean, like The Replacements, and there's some, but.
How about Remember the Titans?
Remember, as a great one. All the Right Moves. My uncle was one of the was in the Pennsylvania High School Coaches Hall of Fame. He was one of the visiting coaches when they were playing another team. So he's in the movie. My aunt's in the movie.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise, man.
That's right. Tom Cruise, Leah Thompson.
That was the greatest. Are you kidding me? The Pittsburgh and the kids. He had the great name. What was his name?
George Vitch.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Come on.
I love football name, man. Western PA, that's football.
What's the movie? Loudon Swain, the wrestling movie.
Yes. All the right
Lunatic
moves.
Fringe. They play Lunatic Fringe in it. You got to shoot. What's that one called?
Shoot. Yeah. Yes.
What's the movie called? I can't remember the name of it.
Oh my God.
Anybody got ChatGPT? Anybody got ChatGPT?
Wait. I gotta get it. Loudon Swain is the best wrestling movie. What is it? It's. Oh my God. Oh, the classic. Come on. What was her name? Linda Ferrantino was in it.
What was that? Vision Quest.
Yes.
Yes.
Like, Madonna had one of the songs.
For you. Crazy for you. Yeah, and then he's bleeding in his nose. He's like, "You're a bleeder." I mean, what elite movie. Elite. Yes. Yeah. All the right moves though. Classic. Are you kidding me? Gosh, now I'm going to go on a bender of movies now. Like, on the 4-hour plane trip to UCLA, I'm just going to watch sports movies now because of you. Thank you.
All right, let's take a look ahead. The look ahead. Speaking of LA, back to LA on that trip to UCLA. What's the prep here?
Yeah. I mean, they're coming off a bye week just like last week, so you're going to see some new things. They've made a lot of changes. Tim Skipper took over as their head coach, and he's done a great job. They're 3-2 in the Big Ten, so they started off 0-3, and now they've been rolling. So the quarterback is fantastic. Transferred from Tennessee, and he's really he's their leading rusher and their leading passer. Jerry Neuheisel took over as the OC. They faked 4 punts. I mean, you really just have to be up for anything. So for me, it's really about all of our guys playing their best football game, like taking it up even another notch from where they were last week, and then making sure that we get TJ in a situation where he's comfortable and he can just go play ball. I got a lot of confidence in him. That's why I told him, I said, hey, let's not baby him. Let's go out there and let's let him go play. And you think about what an opportunity we have, to go play football in the Rose Bowl, Pasadena. I mean, just playing an iconic program like UCLA. So I want to go out there with a spirit of gratitude, a spirit of being great teammates, and also play our best football game.
I mean, I know we make a big deal about schedules and, the pundits about, the Big Ten and we have California teams and everything. Gotta be honest with you, Nebraska UCLA is cool. Nebraska USC was awesome. Yeah. Like if you look at it through the lens of this is pretty cool having all these iconic programs together. I kind of love it.
I think it's fantastic. Like to think about a conference game with Notre Dame and USC on Nebraska USC on national TV, right? To think about going out there and playing a night game in the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, like. I was a GA at UCLA, and I remember games. I don't remember very many night games, and so to go out there and play a night game, we'll probably get back about 6 in the morning, but who cares? I mean, this is an amazing opportunity for us, and that's why I talk about gratitude first. When you think about how blessed you are, it makes you then do things that it's one thing to say I'm blessed or say thank you. You show your thanks, you show your gratitude, and so practicing really hard, working really hard, and then playing our best game is really the best way that we can show how grateful we are for this opportunity. Well, that's it. Another episode in the can. Please remember to like, share, or subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. And please follow @House Rhules on socials. Until next time.